3 messages before today's interview educates and motivates you. First, if you're a domain name investor, don't you have unique legal needs that require domain name technical know-how and industry experience? That's why you need David Westlow of Wiley Ryan. Go search for David Westlow on Domain Sherpa, watch his interview, and you can see for yourself that he can clearly explain issues, can help you with buy-sell agreements, deal with website content issues and UDRP actions, and even help you write your website terms and conditions. David Westlow is the lawyer to call for internet legal issues. See for yourself at newmediaip.com. Second, managing multiple domain name marketplace and auction site accounts is a pain. Inevitably, you forget to sign into one and you lose a great domain, or worse. Now imagine using a single, simple to use and comprehensive control panel to manage all of your accounts. That's Protrata. You can set up search filters, analyze domains, automate bidding, list domain names for sale, buy domains across all major marketplaces. Protrata also has a new semantic engine that builds Google-friendly websites with rich content and network feeds. Sign up at protrata.com to get 20 free credits and start building and monetizing your domains today. Finally, if you have questions about domain names, where should you go to ask them? The answer is dnforum.com. Not only is DN Forum the largest domain name forum in the world, it's the best. You can learn about domain names and the industry, buy and sell domain names, talk about the domain name news that's happening in the industry, and even meet domainers just like yourself. Register for a free DN Forum account and begin advancing your skills and knowledge today. And when you do sign up, send me a friend request so we can connect on DN Forum. Here's your program. The whole point of due diligence is to identify potential issues before you spend money. Then when you understand the magnitude of any issues that you've found or the potential risk involved, you can make a more informed financial or business decision. For example, before I spend money on the purchase of a used car, I want a professional to evaluate the drivetrain, the electrical system, the brake system, tires, and the frame to tell me if there's anything of concern. Maybe there's a prior accident, low brake pad or tire levels, cracking belts, anything that may cause the value of the car to be worth less than what I think is a fair price for that car. And I pay a certified professional mechanic a fee, maybe $100 to $200, to go over every part of that car looking for potential issues. It's no guarantee that the car will be flawless or that it'll operate a month later, but it does guarantee that I'm making a large asset purchase after knowing the facts. That's an example of buying an asset, but the same is true for buying services. You'd likely never consider entering into a business partnership without knowing the other person over some period of time. You're not going to offer a diamond ring to a person on a first date in hopes that someday you're going to later get married. A million things can go wrong between the first date and the wedding day, and that's why people date, so you understand the benefits and the issues that you might face in that relationship. So let's get into the tutorial. You should do due diligence in any business matter where you have the potential to lose money, from buying a domain name to purchasing a fully built website, to hiring a contractor to perform services for the website or businesses, or the business. In due diligence, you're trying to uncover anything that could be of financial detriment to you if you proceeded with the transaction. It's a warning of danger. Every warning sign should be considered, not glossed over. You're going to want to do due diligence anytime you spend money, but especially when you buy a domain name, when you buy a pre-built website, or when you buy website services such as development, search engine optimization, or conversion rate optimization. Let's get into it. Why is domain due diligence necessary? What if you're buying a domain name that has been registered as a trademark by somebody else and you plan to use it in the exact same fashion? Your value of the domain name has just diminished significantly. What if you're buying a domain name from somebody who's in control of the domain name, but not the rightful owner, which is often the case with webmasters and website contractors? What if the domain name was used for illegal purposes in the past, such as child pornography, illegal gambling, email spam, or phishing? It's your job as the buyer to either complete the due diligence or make sure the risks of purchase outweigh the costs of due diligence. If you purchase a domain name for $5, you might not care if a UDRP case is filed and the domain is transferred to a complainant, or if a lawsuit alleges the domain name was sold illegally to you and is transferred back to the previous owner with no reimbursement of your expenses. If, on the other hand, you're buying a $10,000 domain name and you lose it in a UDRP case, you're likely going to feel that pain. And just like if you bought stolen property off the street, if the police show up and find you in possession of the stolen property, it can be confiscated and returned to the rightful owner at your loss. So how do you complete due diligence for a domain name? I've done an entire interview with Steve Jones on due diligence for domain names. The link is below in the transcript of this video. Watch the show before making any large investment. I'm going to go over a few points. You want to conduct a trademark search of the domain name. If any exist, they may be red flags. You want to view the domaintools.com who is history. You have to buy the service, but it's worth it to understand who owned the domain name in the past. Call the previous owner and verify it was rightfully sold to the current owner. Make sure the seller listed on the who is the person trying to sell it to you. Is the domain name under who is privacy? Ask for proof of ownership. That it could be a red flag. Number 3, look at the Wayback Machine on archive.org to see the archive copies of the website from the past. If the robots.txt file on the website currently is blocking all previous versions, that could be a red flag. Verify the identity of the seller by requiring a notarized purchase sale agreement. A notary in the U.S. is very customary. Outside the U.S., it may be more difficult to do. So if the seller is from outside the United States and you're inside the United States, that could be a red flag. If you're in Brazil and the seller is in Brazil, then you're more likely to be able to find some sort of way to verify within the country the identity. Consult an attorney to review all details above, whether you did your due diligence yourself to save money or you had the attorney complete it. 6, use a domain escrow service. Domain escrow is likely the best known aspect in the domain name industry. It's easy. It's an easy concept to understand. A third party holds the money from the buyer and waits for confirmation that the purchased domain is transferred from the seller to the buyer before the money is released to the seller. It's a simple process, and there are many escrow companies that provide this service. We've also published an article about domain name escrow process. I'll include a link to it below. And have conducted an interview with Brandon Abbey, the CEO of escrow.com. And you can watch that interview. I'll have a link in the transcript. Read and watch those resources to become more knowledgeable on the topic of domain name escrow. Finally, try to purchase the domain name with your credit card. Oftentimes, fraud is covered with credit card purchases. But verify with your credit card company before you make a purchase. Do not assume anything. Some credit card companies do not cover domain names as a purchase. And if you buy through PayPal, I believe that they have terms and conditions that do not allow for fraud to be covered. Verify through the PayPal terms and conditions before making any purchase. Now let's turn our focus on website due diligence. Purchasing completed website seems relatively straightforward. You can view the website, you can look at the HTML code of any page using regular web browsers. If you like what you see, then value is in the eyes of the buyer. Pay what you think is a fair value. Nobody is forcing you to make the purchase. You can look at websites listed for sale on eBay.com or Flippa.com and try to find comparison sites and values, just as you would in valuing a house for a purchase. Be sure to use the advanced search options and specify that you want to see sold or completed listings instead of current open listings. In other words, I can ask $10 million for my house, but nobody is going to pay me that much for it. So using my asking price as a comp is not valid. Looking at closed deals within the past year is valid. A simple 5-page WordPress-powered website with a customized theme might range from $300 to $3,000, depending on the work that's involved. A geo-domain website may be set up for as little as $700, let's say. But if a database of businesses was purchased and loaded into the website, the cost may double or triple. It's your job as the buyer to ask the questions and make sure you understand everything that's involved in the development of the site and everything that you're getting so you can assess its fair value. Ask for a list of everything that's included in the website and then verify it. I received an email this morning from a site called crowdspring.com. They offer logo design for $269 and small websites for $729. You can go to multiple websites like elance.com, freelancer.com, and odesk.com. They all allow you to specify what you want, how you want it done, what time frame you have, and how much you're willing to pay, and have people bid on your project. I've personally used freelancer.com and elance.com and have received great results. But you have to be aware that the more detail you provide, the greater chance you'll receive what you expected. If you don't provide enough detail, you are going to be disappointed. Make sure you're educated, go through the website, read their tutorials, look at examples of other postings that are going on. And if somebody lists a website, go look at the website and try and contact that owner and see if they were happy with one of the service providers that you can see on one of those websites. You might want to ask them through the system to bid on your project. Here's another example. If someone says they used a woothemes.com, WOOTHEMES.com theme, which is a great company for a WordPress site, you can go to WooThemes and determine that the cost to purchase the theme was $70. Then you can estimate how much it would be to set up a host, to install the theme, to customize the theme, to write the content, and publish the content. Only you know the details of the website you're reviewing. If it's 10 hours to complete all of the steps above, how much is your time worth? If you value your time at $25 per hour, then 10 hours at $25 per hour is $250, plus the cost of the theme and the domain name. If your time is worth $50 per hour, but it would take you 20 hours to learn WordPress and complete the work, then $1,000 would be your cost to reproduce it, plus the theme and the domain name. It's all about build versus buy, an issue business people wrestle with daily. And you have to factor in the time that it would take to complete it. If you need it done tomorrow, buying it may be more advantageous. If you have no time constraints, learning WordPress yourself and building it yourself might provide long-term benefit for you. WordPress developers charge anywhere from $10 per hour to $300 per hour, with the lower end generally being programmers in the developing nations, and on the higher end, you've got expert developers who have provided major contributions to the source code of WordPress or Joomla or whatever content management system you're using. Not sure how long something should take and how technical the work is and its associated cost per hour? Get networking or hire a consultant. If you attend WordPress meetups in your geographic area, you're a social person, you're likely to make friends. Ask those friends when you feel comfortable for a favor and be sure to reciprocate or take them out to lunch in exchange for picking their brain. Or hire a consultant to perform an analysis of a website. They can usually complete a review in 30 minutes and write a 30-minute summary or spend 30 minutes on the phone with you going over their findings, which is likely going to cost $100, $150. Go to your local chamber of commerce. Ask for a list of website developers. Call each one and ask them if they have WordPress experience, if you're building a WordPress website, and see if they'll perform a website evaluation for you at their hourly rate or at a fixed rate. So that'll work for a website that has features, product pages, a contact form, a listing of every business in a city, things like that. If the seller is claiming some set of features and benefits, some number of pages, some search engine optimization level, you can provide that list of what they're providing directly to your consultant to verify. Now, if the seller claims revenue from the site and is selling you the website on a multiple of that revenue or profit, say my site earns $1,000 of profit per month, and I think a 12 times multiple of profit is fair because you'll break even as the buyer in 12 months, you need to verify the revenue figures. You also need to think about whether 12 times is the right multiple value or whether you should be paying 6 times. The more risk, the lower the multiple. The longer the business has been operating, making that consistent revenue, the higher the multiple you should pay because there's less risk involved. But in order to verify the revenue figures, drive to their office. Have them open their Google AdSense account live and show you to your satisfaction that the revenue gathered from the site is what they represented. Or if you live in a different area, do a screen capture, but have the seller walk you through from sign in to the revenue report. This is not as good as reviewing it in person because it provides more risk. It's too easy to fake screenshots and have them emailed to you, and if they live in a different country, you likely have little recourse to file a legal claim. Most websites nowadays take advantage of Google Analytics, which is a free software system for measuring site traffic like visitors, page views, referrals, how people got to your website. It's possible for the seller to grant you full read access to any website using Google Analytics. I've got a link in the transcript below. Doing so will allow you to verify the statistics to your satisfaction. And then if you do end up buying the website, the current owner can transfer that analytics account to you upon purchase. Go watch Thomas Smale's interview about flipping websites to learn more about buying websites on multiples of revenue or profit. I've got a link down below. How do you complete due diligence for a website? Well, depending on the revenue that's involved, if it's a $1 million revenue per year website, you're going to want to go through full due diligence. There's 12 different areas that require evaluation. You should consult an attorney. Accounting, technology, financial, political, legal, commercial, competition, marketing, historical financial statements, your financial projections, operating data, and litigation exposure. If you're just buying a website without revenue, things can become simpler. What's the authority of the website using Google's PageRank or SEO Moz rank? I've got links down below. How many pages are indexed in Google and Bing? I've got links down below. Replace domainsherpa.com with your company, your domain name dot whatever, and you'll see how many links are indexed. If no pages are indexed, that's a worry. If somebody is claiming to sell you a 1,000-page website and only 200 are indexed, that's a red flag. How many inbound links exist from other sites that are reputable? You can use MajesticSEO.com. It's a pay service, but it's a great service. I believe SEOMoz.com also provides that service for a fee. Verify traffic statistics by accessing their analytical system, which we talked about. Verify the revenue figures, if there are any. Look for long-term consistent revenue. A single or 2 months worth of revenue is not a business. 12 months of revenue shows consistency in earnings and is a track record that you can base a multiple for purchase on. Look at the terms and conditions of any purchased software, such as website themes, templates, custom programming, and images. Sometimes they're not transferable in sale, which might require you to purchase a license to continue to use them. Is all the content, the text, the images, the videos, the audio on the website owned by the seller? I once bought a website template from templatemonster.com. I used the template for years. And then only after a few years did I find out that one of the pictures in the template was used without permission of the owner. If memory serves me, it cost me hundreds of dollars to buy the rights for that graphic for the past year's use. Consider over-reliance on suppliers. If 90% of the website's traffic comes from Google organic search, might an update to Google, their search engine rankings algorithm, remove most of your site traffic and leave you with just a shell of a website? What if Google AdSense is the major monetary way you're monetizing your website? Suddenly blocking ads that you're displaying or kicking you out of Google AdSense. Can you find an alternate provider of advertising to generate revenue? Is sensitive user information stored properly and encrypted when necessary? Is the seller artificially inflating rankings through aggressive SEO? Is the programming of the site badly written or poorly documented? Finally, consider who is selling the website. That only focused on the website itself, but who is selling you the website? Are they a trusted entity? Do they have a professional website? Do they email you from a domain name, from an email address at the domain name that matches the website, not a Gmail account or a Yahoo account? Can you call and speak to someone in customer service? Are they members of the Better Business Bureau, which requires validation of their business address and the ownership of the company, or even the local chamber of commerce? Do they have real testimonials from customers with full names and website URLs listed on their website? When you ask for a list of references, do they provide it quickly? When they provide it and you call those customers, and you should, and if you don't, you're asking for trouble. Do the customers say that they'll buy from the website creator again in the future? Is there a verified physical address on their website and in their contracts that they provide to you? Call the U.S. Postal Service in their city and verify it, or use Google Maps Street View to see if it's a physical location or just a mailbox. Do they have complete LinkedIn profile information with multiple recommendations from past customers or people that they've worked with? Number 2, do they have credentials to back up their claims? If they say they're experts in whatever, SEO, website creation, conversion rate optimization, ask them for proof. What generic keywords can you type into Google and see their website listed in the top 10 results? You know, if they're claiming they're experts in search engine optimization, shouldn't you be able to type in search engine optimization Atlanta if you're based in Atlanta and find them in the top 10 results of Google? Think about it. If they're promising you something, why can't they do it themselves? Anyone can rank well for their company name. You want proof that they can rank well for competitive, generic keyword phrases or long tail keyword phrases, depending on what your site is trying to do. What's their policy for payment? If you can buy on credit card, your credit card provider might have fraud protection. Again, contact your credit card company to verify. If the seller requires a wire transfer of full funds prior to delivery of the website, that is a red flag. How much are you willing to lose? Anything higher than that should be transacted through escrow. Again, we've published an article about the domain name escrow process, and have conducted an interview with Brandon Abbey of escrow.com. Both links are in the transcript below. Read and watch those resources to become more knowledgeable on the topics. Escrow.com, for example, will handle website escrow too. And remember, escrow can have milestones: 25% upon transfer of the website, 50% upon verification of possession by the buyer, and the final 25% upon walkthrough and handoff of the owner's manual, for instance. Once the seller has your cash, the immediacy of satisfying your requirements is much less. Try to hold 50% until you're fully satisfied with the work. Did I mention that I think attorneys are useful? They are. A few $100s spent today can save you thousands tomorrow. Don't think you can afford a few $100s? Then you shouldn't be buying a website for $1,000 or a couple $1,000s. Think of it this way. A purchase agreement can potentially be used over and over again, so you can amortize it over the life of your business, not just this one website. Okay, finally, let's talk about website service due diligence. Some service providers overpromise and underdeliver. You can go do a search on Google for search engine optimization. You'll be flooded with a bunch of different service providers, some of which are going to be con artists, and you don't know which one is which. It's your job in service due diligence to determine if the company or the individual you're considering working with is one of those types. How do you do that? Same way we did on the pre-built website due diligence. Are they a trusted entity? Do they have a professional website with a matching email address to the domain name? Can you call and speak to someone in customer service? Can you get anybody on the phone? Do they even have a phone number listed? Are they members of the Better Business Bureau or local chamber of commerce? If they're not, they likely do not want to associate with other people. That could be a red flag. Do you know someone that has used them in the past and can vouch for them? Do they have real testimonials on their website from customers with full names and website URLs that you can go check out, that you can look at the contact information, that you can call and ask them? When you ask for a list of references from the service provider, do they provide it quickly? When you call those references, and you better call those references, do the references say that they'll buy from the website service provider again in the future? Is there a verified address on the service provider's website? Call the U.S. Postal Service in their city, verify using Google Maps Street View, see if it's a physical location or just a mailbox. Do they have a complete LinkedIn profile with multiple recommendations from other buyers and other people that they've worked with in the past? Do they have credentials to back up their claims? If they say that they're experts in search engine optimization, what words or phrases do they rank in the top 10 on Google for their own website? Think about what they tell you. Is it reasonable? If you're not sure, go to dnforum.com and ask other developers or domain investors, or go to your local WordPress or website meetups and network. Ask people what they think. Get a second opinion. If you don't have a network, you need to go build one. Find out what the service provider's policy for payment is. If you can pay on a credit card, you might have fraud protection. Again, contact your credit card company to verify before you make a purchase. If they require a wire transfer of full funds prior to starting work, consider that a red flag. Do not pay full funds in advance. There are third-party freelancer websites like elance.com, freelancer.com, or odesk.com that offer escrow through their service for work contracted through their service. You deposit the funds, agree to the payment terms, say 50% upfront, 50% upon completion, and funds are transferred if both the buyer and the seller agree that a milestone has been reached. You can also always require the contractor to sign up as a provider if they're not in the system. They just don't accept any work. But they do accept work from you. And then you can take advantage of that website's escrow process. Or document the timeline, milestones, and deliverables, and agree to use a certified attorney who can hold the money in a trust account. They'll likely do it for a couple $100s, which is well worth the investment for services in the thousands of dollars range. How do you set proper milestones for your agreement? Make sure they're SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. I'll put a link to the Wikipedia page on SMART goals for further reference down in the transcript. So that's it for due diligence on the purchase of domain names, pre-built websites, and website services. Did I mention that an attorney can help protect you from being taken advantage of? They can. There's a great one listed as a sponsor of Domain Sherpa. I use him. You can trust him, and he's likely going to be able to do what you need faster than a family attorney or your local attorney can, because he specializes in intellectual property law and has drafted thousands of agreements in the past, just like the ones you're going to need in the future. This is not a promotional video for David Westlow. It's a video to educate you on red flags in due diligence and to stop you from getting taken advantage of and wasting your money. It leads, and not only that, there's an enormous amount of frustration and you feel terrible after you get taken advantage of. I know, I've been there in the past. We all need an extra pair of eyes sometimes, a partner or a confidant now and again to verify our thinking is justified. If you have questions about due diligence in buying domains, pre-built websites, and website services, post them in the comments below and I'll answer to the best of my ability every one that I can. If you have suggestions for due diligence that I did not mention, techniques that you use, please also post them in the comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.